Please welcome reproductive rights advocate Kate Cox.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kate Cox. I am the proud mom of two wonderful children, and being their mother is the greatest joy of my life. My husband and I always wanted a big family, so when we learned I was pregnant with our third child in August, we were overjoyed. All I wanted more than anything in the world was to bring home my baby and to be her mother. But in the fall, I learned that was not going to be the case. We learned our baby had full trisomy 18. Our doctor told us that if she survived the pregnancy, she'd live for at most hours or days. The pregnancy was plagued with pain and suffering, with several visits to the emergency room and the unbearable mental toll of waiting for the inevitable and unavoidable loss of our baby girl. And with every minute that I stayed pregnant, the risks to my health and to a future pregnancy were growing. At that moment, my whole earth shattered. It is, to this day, the most painful thing I have ever been told. I needed to end my pregnancy so that I'd have the best chance for my health, for parenting my children, and for a future pregnancy. And I wanted to access that care in my home state, close to my family, my loved ones, and my doctors. I never imagined having to fight for something so basic as a procedure to save my health. But after I filed a lawsuit seeking to clarify that I qualified under one of the rare exceptions of Texas's abortion bans, I was denied that most basic right. My state chose to drive me out of my home, my community, away from my children, my doctors, rather than to let me access care. So amidst all my grief at the loss of my pregnancy, I had to kiss my children goodbye and flee my home state to get my abortion. It was unspeakably hard. My experience has intensely reminded me that abortion is health care. Wanted, prayed-for pregnancies sometimes end in abortion. And mothers and parents are the right people to make compassionate, difficult decisions for themselves, their families, with their doctors, not politicians. But that is not the reality facing women across our country. I'm just one person, we're just one family, but our story is playing out in countless cities and states across America. Every day, because of these extreme abortion bans, women are going through the nightmare that I did. It breaks my heart. I want to express my gratitude to President Biden and Vice President Harris, who are fighting tirelessly for our reproductive rights. I am so honored to be a small part of their fight. When I was younger, I didn't really pay much attention to politics. I was an overwhelmed student, a mother, and just trying to stay afloat. I didn't always vote. But after what happened to me, I promise you I will never again miss an opportunity to vote. I will cast my ballot in every election like my life depends on it, because for me and so many others, it does. I hope when Americans head to the polls this November, they vote like it too. I hope they vote to restore our reproductive rights and re-elect President Biden and Vice President Harris. Today, I'm happy to share that I'm pregnant again. My husband and I are expecting our baby in January, and I hope that by then, when we welcome our baby to the world, it'll be a world led by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. who trust women, fight for us, and are working to make our country a better place. It is now my honor to introduce a champion for this cause, someone who is fighting for me and so many others across this country, the first woman Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Isn't she extraordinary? And what good news, just extraordinary. Kate, as I said to you and your husband backstage, you really have been so courageous and such a leader in this movement. You know, I shared with Kate that, and please have a seat if there are chairs. They have chairs. I said to Kate that, you know, I think in moments of crisis, that the universe has a way of revealing the heroes among us who show extraordinary courage, not looking for any award or reward, but just because they feel so strongly about something and being a voice for so many people. And Kate, you are a hero of this movement and in this moment. And thank you. And I want to thank all the elected officials and members of Congress who are here, Senator Van Hollen, Representative Glenn Ivey, and I will acknowledge the next senator from the great state of Maryland, my dear friend, Angela Also Brooks. And to all the leaders who are here and have been fighting, are fighting, to make sure every woman in our nation, every person in our nation can access the care they need, and in particular, reproductive health care. So, this is a fight for freedom. The fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not having her government tell her what to do. 2 years ago today, I think many of us remember where we were. 2 years ago today, the highest court in our land, the Court of Thurgood and RBG, took a constitutional right that had been recognized from the people of America, from the women of America. And 2 years ago, on that day, I actually made a prediction that overturning Roe v. Wade would be the opening shot on a full-on assault, state by state, on reproductive freedom. And that is exactly what happened. Over the past 2 years, in states across our nation, extremists have proposed and passed laws that criminalize doctors and punish women, laws that limit access to contraception and to fertility treatments like IVF. Even some of them trying to revive laws from the 1800s. Today in America, 1 in 3 women of reproductive age lives in a state with an abortion ban. Many with no exception even for rape or incest. Today, our daughters know fewer rights than their grandmothers. This is a healthcare crisis. And we all know who was to blame: Donald Trump. And how do we know? Well, as many of you know, I'm a former prosecutor, so let's just look at the facts, shall we? When he was in the White House, Donald Trump handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court because he intended for them to overturn Roe v. Wade. And as he intended, they did. So, it was premeditated. Since extremist legislators across our nation have passed ban after ban after ban, he had accomplices. And Trump has not denied, much less shown remorse for his actions. Instead, he, quote, proudly takes credit for overturning Roe. My fellow Americans, in a court of law, that would be called an admission. And some would say a confession, all pointing to the ultimate issue. In the case of the stealing of reproductive freedom from the women of America, Donald Trump is guilty. And over the past 2 years, we have seen the impact of these Trump abortion bans, the horrific, heartbreaking reality that women have been facing every single day in our country. Women have been refused care during a miscarriage, turned away from the emergency room, and only given care when they developed sepsis. We have seen attacks on IVF. Women denied the freedom to make some of the most personal decisions in their lives. And understand, as much harm as he has already caused, a second Trump term would be even worse. His friends in the United States Congress are trying to pass a national ban that would outlaw abortion in every single state, in states like New York and California, and even right here in Maryland. And we all know if Donald Trump gets the chance, he will sign that ban. And how do we know? Well, when Congress tried to pass a national ban in 2017, he endorsed it. And he promised to sign it if it got to his desk. And now he wants us to believe he will not sign a national abortion ban. Look, enough with the gaslighting. Enough. And if we needed any more proof on where he stands on this issue, Donald Trump just announced he has already decided who his running mate will be. Without knowing that person's name, we already know it is someone who wants to ban abortion. Every person on his short list either supported a ban in their state or supported a national ban. And it doesn't stop there. If there were a second Trump term, he has admitted that he is, quote, looking at restrictions on contraception. And pay close attention to how his friends in the United States Senate obstructed a bill to protect the right to contraception. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. So it comes down to this. Donald Trump thinks the government is in a better position to tell women what's in their best interest than women are to know for themselves. But Joe Biden and I trust women. And women trust all of us to fight for their most fundamental freedoms. And fight we will. And fight we will. And you know, as I travel our country, it is clear that most Americans do believe one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. And when Congress passes a law that restores the reproductive freedoms of Roe, our President, Joe Biden, will sign it into law. Indeed. So here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. It's going to take all of us to get there. It's going to take all of us to get there, and momentum is on our side. Think about it. Since Roe was overturned, every time reproductive freedom has been on the ballot, the people of America have voted for freedom. From Kansas to California to Kentucky, in Michigan, Montana, Vermont, and Ohio, the people of America have voted for freedom. And not by a little, but often by overwhelming margins, proving this is not a partisan issue, proving that the voice of the people has been heard and will be heard. So today I ask, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we trust women? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in the promise of America?